Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Doreen Green, also known as Squirrel Girl. If you didn't know that she's defeated some of the Marvel Universe's most powerful villains and heroes single-handedly, then this show is for you. So, Doreen Green, also known as Squirrel Girl, would first appear in Marvel Superheroes Volume 2, Number 8 in 1991. Doreen is definitely one of my favourite more obscure characters from the Marvel Universe. She's not to be taken too seriously, but at the same time, you should probably be afraid of her if she's angry. Before we really get into her history, there are some things that you're going to need to take note of. Like, early on in her career, she single-handedly defeated Dr. Doom. Since then, she has defeated a number of very powerful villains and heroes all on her own. These include Wolverine, Deadpool, and Thanos. Now, the victory that I find particularly special is her defeat over Thanos. You see, Uto the Watcher was there, and he confirms that she defeated the full-powered original Thanos. Not a clone, not a copy, Squirrel Girl defeated Thanos all on her own. So now onto her history. Squirrel Girl is a mutant with squirrel-like abilities, meaning she's strong, she's agile, she can jump really high, and she can communicate with squirrels. Doreen wanted to put her powers to good use, so she went after Iron Man and ambushed him in a forest. Naturally, he refused her, but then the duo were captured by Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom wanted to kill Iron Man and drop his body in the ocean, so Squirrel Girl used her powers to communicate with a bunch of squirrels in a nearby forest, who then flooded the airship as they were passing on by. The squirrels would attack Dr. Doom, save Iron Man, and chew through a bunch of wires in the airship. And after this, Iron Man and Squirrel Girl would go their separate ways. Eventually, Doreen would move to New York and she would save the Great Lake Avengers from a bunch of muggers, at which point she would join the team. It's here that Doreen saw Grasshopper's death, but she chose not to quit being a hero, but I think she's still a little bit afraid of the idea of death, which she should be as a hero. She would then use a squirrel army to defeat Maelstrom, but only one squirrel would survive this attack, and she named it Tippy Toe. Squirrel Girl would then go about defeating a number of very powerful cosmic beings, including MODOK, Terrax, and Thanos. She would then be offered a place in S.H.I.E.L.D. because they had been watching her and realized she was probably one of the best people in the Marvel Universe at dealing with extra powerful supervillains, but she would decline the offer because she was very happy in the GLA. She would then help Thing defeat Bybeast by having all the nearby squirrels find the smelliest garbage that they could get their hands on and placing it near Thing and Bybeast. Everyone would have to hold their noses because the smell was so bad, but it took both of Bybeast's hands to hold his nose, which meant Thing could openly attack him and defeat him. The Great Lake Avengers would eventually rename themselves to the Great Lake Champions, and they would register under the Superhero Registration Act the first day that the law was passed. Deadpool, however, wanted to get on the government's good side by capturing non-registered heroes, and he thought that the Great Lake Avengers wouldn't register, so he went to attack the team. In this event, Deadpool would get really cocky and Squirrel Girl would very easily defeat him. During the Heroic Age, Squirrel Girl would defeat Fin Fang Foom single-handedly, and she would realize that her team was supposed to help her, but they didn't do a thing. Squirrel Girl would realize that her team never did anything. She was the one doing all the work, so she would leave the Great Lake Avengers and go off on her own. Then, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones would be looking for a nanny for their daughter, and they would decide that Squirrel Girl fits the bill perfectly. In this time, Squirrel Girl lived in the Avengers Mansion, and it's here that it's revealed that she and Wolverine used to have a relationship, but it ended so badly they agreed to never contact one another again. However, for her to have a relationship with Wolverine, she would need to be at least 18, which means her relationship with Wolverine happened somewhere between her first appearance and now. This being said, Squirrel Girl and Wolverine agreed that while they are around each other in the Avengers Mansion, they would be professional. In Fear itself, Squirrel Girl would have to protect Danielle from a bunch of Thor Society soldiers, and they would get closer to the Avengers Mansion as it went on lockdown. Daredevil would then turn up, defeat all of the soldiers, and take Squirrel Girl and Danielle to a panic room to safety. In the Spider Island story arc, where most of New York would gain spider-like abilities, Squirrel Girl would end up leaving the new Avengers with Luke Cage and his family. And that's it for her. Well, at least that's as far as we're getting in this video. Now, there is something that I love about this character, and it's actually a good way to tell who reads comics and who doesn't read comics. Now, this trick also works for Aquaman from DC Comics. If you mention Squirrel Girl or Aquaman and whoever you're talking to says they're weak, that person does not read comics. However, if that person talks about how this character deserves to be in the spotlight a bit more, then that person probably reads comics and knows what they're talking about. But all of that is perfectly fine, because if they are wrong, that just gives you a reason to educate them. Now, as a writer myself, I definitely specialize in comedy, so I would like to see more of Squirrel Girl, and I would actually like to write her myself one day. Marvel at this moment in time, if they want to do something funny, they have to have Deadpool. And it doesn't need to be that way. Lots of people enjoy Deadpool's shtick, and it works very, very well for him. But Squirrel Girl could be equally funny and do her own thing. I think Doreen Green deserves all the love and attention that Deadpool gets, because she's really such a great character and she'll be so fun for writers to write about. They just need to be made aware of her. In summary, I think Squirrel Girl deserves her own series, and if they can't give that to her, they should give her a series that's like Squirrel Girl and Mattie Franklin, two very obscure characters that deserve more love.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. Leave a comment down below telling me if you think I forgot anything about Squirrel Girl, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, check out my gaming channel, support the show by checking out my Patreon, like me on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.